Hello, this is MTG Tournament Grinder. So I participated in a standard PPTQ recently, and although I didn't do very well, I was allowed to record the top 8. So here we are in the first round of the top 8, the quarterfinals. We've got Green-Black Constrictor versus Blue-White Control. Green-Black Constrictor, as the name would imply, revolves around the card Winding Constrictor. 1 black, 1 green for a 2/3. If 1 or more counters would be placed on an artifact or creature you control, that many of those counters plus 1 are placed on that permanent instead. And it has the same effect for you as a player. If you would get 1 or more counters, you get that many of those counters plus 1 instead. And the rest of the deck are cards that interact with +1/+1 counters, and with the aid of Winding Constrictor, are made even more powerful than they normally are. A great first example is Walking Ballista. So it coming into play with 1 more counter than you paid for is already good, but being able to put multiple counters on it for 4 mana is a great way to spend your resources late game. And up next, we've got Merfolk Branchwalker and Jadelight Ranger. The Explore mechanic is already really strong, and if you have Winding Constrictor on the battlefield, it gets insane. Jadelight Ranger has the potential to get 4 +1/+1 counters if he reveals 2 lands off the top of your library. Now, already having all these creatures with counters will make Rishkar, Peema, Renegade that much cooler when you play him. When Rishkar, Peema, Renegade enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. So with Winding Constrictor, again, you'll be distributing up to 4 counters, and each creature you control with a counter on it has tap, add 1 green mana to your mana pool. Now with all that mana, you could pump a Walking Ballista, or you could use it to play Verdurous Gearhulk, a 5 mana 4/4 trample. When he enters the battlefield, distribute 4 +1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures you control. So again, more shenanigans that are made impressively good by Winding Constrictor. You could distribute as many as 8 +1/+1 counters across 4 creatures, all for 5 mana, and you get a 4/4 with trample out of the deal. So it's really not too bad. Next we have Ravenous Chupacabra and Aethersphere Harvester, neither of which interact directly with +1/+1 counters, but they both still have a spot in this deck. Ravenous Chupacabra is removal that can block, not too bad. Aethersphere Harvester is just a great vehicle. Crew 1 for a 3/5 flyer, and you can give it lifelink. So value all around. Now last but not least, in the main board, we have Glint-Sleeve Siphoner. Besides Aethersphere Harvester, it's the only card in the deck that interacts with energy, but with Winding Constrictor on the battlefield, it could be drawing you an extra card every upkeep. Now as for the sideboard, against Blue-White Control, I think you'd want to bring in Thrashing Brontodon to use against all your opponent's seal-aways and cast-outs. There might even be a good time to hit their Search for Azcanta before it flips. I also think Duress would come in here. It's really good against counterspell decks. They either are forced to waste a counterspell on it to protect something more valuable in their hand, perhaps a Teferi or Settle the Wreckage, or you get to pick their best card and see everything that they're working with. So either way, it's a good deal. You might bring in an Aethersphere Harvester because it can't be countered by an Essence Scatter, and the lifelink might be relevant, although I'm not certain, but you're definitely bringing in both Lifecrafter's Bestiary. So it's a 3 mana artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, scry 1. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you may pay 1 forest. If you do, draw a card. So in this matchup against Blue-White Control, where most of your creatures are going to be getting countered, being able to pay 1 extra green to draw a card for every creature spell you cast makes it feel not nearly as bad when they counter your good creature spell. And I think that about wraps it up for the Green-Black Constrictor. Let's go ahead and take a look at Blue-White Control now. I feel like this deck's going to be a lot easier to go over. Maybe that's because I'm not a very good control player, but this deck is all about controlling what your opponent does, not letting them resolve any spells, handling the spells they do resolve, and then like turn 15 hopefully resolving a threat and closing out the game. So, the counter spells. They've got Negate for the non-creature spells, Essence Scatter for the creature spells, and Disallow for everything and anything in between. Whatever makes it past this first line of defense, they can handle individually with Cast Out and Seal Away. As a modern player, I relate these cards to Oblivion Ring type effects, or en masse with Settle the Wreckage and Fumigate. To help them draw into the cards they need to do this, they've got Search for Azcanta and Glimmer of Genius. Again, as a modern player, I'm pretty familiar with Search for Azcanta, but Glimmer of Genius actually seems really cool. Scry 2, draw 2 for 4 mana, so this deck doesn't have a lot of finishers. One of the more interesting win conditions is Approach of the Second Sun. Basically, if you can cast this card twice, you win the game. The first time you cast it, you gain 7 life and put it 7th from the top of your library, but with the amount of card draw in this deck, you'll be drawing it again soon, and the second time you cast it, game over. Now there's one big traditional fatty, Torrential Gearhulk. When he enters the battlefield, you get to cast an instant from your graveyard without paying its mana cost, and he's just a straight up 5/6 with flash, so he is definitely a big boy. And last but not least, we have Gideon of the Trials and Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. As far as closing out the game, these two guys are really your bread and butter. For 0, Gideon can make an emblem that says, as long as you control a Gideon Planeswalker, you can't lose the game and your opponent cannot win the game. Also for 0, he can turn himself into a 4/4 and just straight up get in for damage. Now Teferi is pretty much the poster child of this deck. He has a +1 that says draw a card at the beginning of your next instep, untap 2 lands. Insane. He can draw you a counterspell and then untap the mana that you need to cast it. He can also handle literally any threat with his -3. Put target non-land permanent into its owner's library 3rd from the top. And you may have to do that a couple of times, but really you're just gonna +1, +1, +1 until you can get all the way to his ultimate, at which point you get an emblem that says, whenever you draw a card, exile target permanent and opponent controls. But honestly, your opponent will probably concede before you get to your -8, because using his +1 that many times will be fixing your hand and giving you the cards you need to completely demoralize your opponent, if not actually kill them. Alright, now let's check out the sideboard. I think you're definitely bringing in Lyra Dawnbringer. A big 5/5 lifelinker against a creature-based aggro deck definitely seems strong. I think it's also good to bring in your last Torrential Gearhulk for that same reason, because against a creature-based deck, you just want to have more blockers if possible. And I think the last relevant card here is Sorcerer's Spyglass. Name any one card and activated abilities of the named card cannot be named. In this matchup, I think the relevant cards you could name are Thrashing Brontodon, or perhaps a better choice, Walking Ballista. And I think that about wraps it up for the blue-white control deck tech. Now I will warn you that with this first video, I'm a little less than thrilled about the lighting, but I did what I could to make it look better in post, and I changed location for the semifinals and finals, so it's only this video that looks this way. Well, with that, let's go ahead and jump into game 1.
This may keep from me. This is also keep from me. Alright. Pass turn. Good. Do a Siphoner. 1 energy. Pass turn. Good. Combat. Swing for 2 attack trigger. 2 energy. Seal away. Sure. Land for turn. Glint-Sleeve. Yep. We'll go to 3 energy. Okay. Pass turn. Good. Trigger. I'll lose 1 life. Okay. Go to 1 energy. Draw a card. Draw for turn.
I think that's not really that's the only deck I played on this.
Played a lot of red black.
We were talking about that.
Oh, were we?
Several people, a lot of people.
Rishkar?
Oh, yeah.
Rishkar is off. I'll target Rishkar and Glint-Sleeve Siphoner.
Okay. Do it.
I'll use the same dice. I'll move to combat. Sounds good. I'll attack with the Siphoner. Trigger. Go to 2 energy.
That's why you
We'll see the Siphoner. Sure. Pass turn.
What's that? It's VHA. It's pretty cool.
Good.
You got it.
Gearhulk. Dislike. Combat.
Yep.
3.
Now let's go.
17. Pass turn. Scandal.
Yeah. Probably circle card.
That's
Oh, okay.
pass turn.
You got it.
Gearhulk. Good. Okay. I'll put 4 counters here.
We go green.
Swing for 7.
Colorless.
Take 7. Throw 10.
Jadelight.
Pass turn.
I will keep that on top.
Sure. Got it.
2 counters, and you may go, sir.
Renegade. Yep. Gain 2. Yes, sir. 12. 12. Good. Go to 3 energy. Yes.
Yeah. Well, you know, I bet this next game will be really epic.
Jadelight Ranger. Yep.
Because I just have a sneaky
Snack.
suspicion that
Snack.
like one of those here.
Go to 5 energy. Pass turn.
Trigger. Draw. Fair. You can go up with fair.
Sure.
So we should be able to go to end step.
Yes.
Thank you for your patience with
Of
my
course.
mistake.
No
Go
problem.
ahead, bud.
Thanks for pointing it out.
Yeah. Just on the sideboard after the last one for some reason. Probably because I was exhausted from the ridiculousness that appeared.
I'll play a Chupacabra.
Chupacabra's good.
I'll crew the Harvester.
That's fine.
I'll move to combat. I'll drag both at Teferi.
Oh, that's fair. Okay, Teferi down.
Harvester.
Yep.
I'll go to 7 energy.
Sorry, I said okay. That's right.
Pass turn.
Trigger.
Got 3 in yard.
Let's see, I took 5. How much did I take for the last one? 6?
It was Teferi.
It was fair. Very good. Apologies.
No problem.
Go ahead.
Crew Harvester.
Land? Not a land.
Combat.
Oh shit, I forgot my trigger too. Brilliant with me. You may go, sir. And he has one counter.
I mean, you can get rid of that one too, Drew.
No thanks.
I wouldn't if I was you. Just
Fumigate.
One Choupy boy.
You got it.
And I'll go ahead and pass my turn after this.
trigger. Draw.
I'm offering the cut. Teferi.
Sanctuary.
Very.
You may go, sir.
We'll go up. That's fair.
Okay.
And a good end step. 1, 2. Go ahead.
I'll crew the Harvester. I'll attack you.
Okay. Take 3. Go to 9.
Go to 9.
Clear attack phase.
Jadelight.
For 7.
This way.
You got it.
Pass turn.
Trigger.
We'll go ahead with
Split. Yes.
it. You may go.
Sure. Yes. Go to 16.
Yes.
Yeah, down to present hand now.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Up with Teferi.
Not good.
Untap.
You may go, sir. You may go.
Crew.
Yep.
You.
Silly.
You may go.
Jadelight.
Yep.
Pass turn.
Drop turn. Draw with Teferi.
Okay. Yeah, how many cards are reserved? 4? My turn. Draws.
It is very interesting to play with no time limit.
Yeah.
I've never done this before. It's like completely different mentality.
Especially when you got a Teferi on board.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But like, I mean, it's just so because I think like you're gonna get so used to like, at the back of your head going like, come on, we gotta
Like,
go.
let's
And
go.
you gotta
Let's
make a
go.
decision.
Yeah, for control players in general too.
Yeah. Especially because you're like,
Yeah.
I
Like
gotta
there are definitely
finish.
some turn cycles where it's like you gotta really think about this.
Right.
But like,
But
yeah.
normally you're like, we gotta go.
Here we go.
That's Canton.
Sure. Yep.
End step. Trigger.
Okay. So you got 5 counters?
Go ahead.
So you got it.
All right, let's go to game 2.
Sounds good.
I gotta think about this.
You have unlimited time, give or take.
I will keep.
I will also keep.
+5.
You got it.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's important. We play this Island. Go ahead.
Snake.
Yeah.
Swing 1.
You got it. My turn.
Pass turn.
Being on the play is so
Special
good.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Fortress. Go ahead.
You may go, sir. Uh-oh.
Still happens.
Cypher.
It is cold in here.
Scatter.
Are we
You got it.
Combat.
Yep. 17.
Pass.
Go ahead.
Move to end step.
Yep.
Yeah, I only have the rankings for the top 8. The rest should be visible on Wizard's Banner, which is on the computer in the main building. But I was only given the rankings for like
Jadelight.
2 cards in hand.
2 in hand.
Disallow.
Sure. Combat. 2.
15.
Second one. Ballista.
Oh, buddy.
Pass turn.
I have a Yes, you do.
Go ahead.
I'm going to go ahead and attack, or declare attack phase. You want to do anything? I will attack
Rishkar.
Gideon.
Rishkar's good.
I'll target Ballista.
Yep.
Up to 4. Llanowar Elves.
Okay. I will. 1, 2,
Move to combat. Swing for 4.
4, 5,
Cast out.
6. Give all my creatures +1/+1 counters.
Targeting.
We'll trade, yeah.
Shooting for 4.
Moving this thing there.
11.
Wise move. Pastor.
That seems bad. Yep.
Combat.
Yes. So.
And that gives you 7 life. Okay. I feel like that's going to happen pretty quick. Yep.
Land for turn.
Okay.
I'll get to your Dust real quick.
You got it.
Not because I'm worried about anything. Just clean it up.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not.
I'm kidding. I'm joking. It's fun.
We have infinity plus
Exactly.
5. Plus
exactly.
5.
That's why I'm like, hey, let's just make sure the board state's clean, everything's taken care of. I know how many cards you have in hand, all that stuff.
Drop respect, my man.
Jadelight. I'll keep him on top. Llanowar Elves. You may go, sir.
And set for myself before.
Yep. Okay.
Spyglass.
What mills for?
Vraska. Relic
Pay
Seeker.
one, sacrifice a desert. Mill target.
Oh, okay. That's game.
Cycle.
You got it, man. Good games. That was a good game.
Game 3. It's okay.
Pass
This
it.
one, and then.
Oh, you made it?
Yeah, you get to go ahead.
I would have preferred
Combat. Yep. 5.
See, but you know, I mean, it just doesn't always work out.
6 lives, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Trigger.
First, 417. We're here and we're playing.
Drop. Very.
Yes.
Let's see here. What are we going to select?
Tuck the elf. End step. Go ahead.
Impulse.
Yes. Okay.
Combat. 2 to you.
Take 2. Go to 4.
Ballista.
For how many?
Casting for X equals 3.
Syncopate.
Pass turn.
Trigger. I'll put to fair. Left. Faster.
Pass turn.
Trigger. Deck.
No effects. 9. 15.
Yes. Up. Go to end step. Trigger on the stack.
Sure.
Float 2.
Okay.
Untap these 2.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Combat.
Yep.
2 to you.
2 of me. Go to 7.
Brontodon.
Brontodon. Interesting. Disallow Brontodon.
Pass turn.
Trigger. Draw it. Flip. Up its figure.
I just feel like that's gonna be it.
Wayland. Oh no, it's still active. It's just a placeholder card. No, it's okay. Attack you.
Yep. 10. And 12.
Yes. Pass turn.
Combat.
Yep.
To Teferi.
Okay.
I'll cast a Ballista.
Execute.
Yes, sir. Good luck.
X equals 4.
Disallow.
Pass turn.
Alright, let's get in there.
Escanta.
I will keep. Alright, space up. Elf, go.
Upkeep.
Circle hard, go.
Up.
What is the breach?
Attack.
Yep.
So, it's
5.
just a blue white.
17.
It's like yourself out of
Approach.
Yep. 24.
We'll go green. Branchwalker.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oops. 6.
You got that again?
Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cool. Yeah, I was going to do the same thing. Instant. Fairy trigger.
5. Cast out. No shield, you got it.
Yes.
Go ahead.
That's good. Good.
Good games, man.
Good games.
Good luck in semis.
Thank you.
Oh man, I punted super hard when I didn't play around Syncopate there.
Yeah.
You only had 2 mana.